Children's laughter echoed across the grounds of Redemption Baptist Church as the annual Easter egg hunt began. Louisville spring had painted the world green overnight, though a chill lingered in the morning air. I watched my 7-year-old niece Penny dart between flowering dogwoods, her yellow dress bright against the grass. As the church's newest youth pastor, my first major event should have been joyful. Instead, a sense of unease had shadowed me since accepting the position 3 months ago. Something about Pastor Merrick's too wide smile, the way certain church elders exchanged glances during meetings, the locked basement door that no one acknowledged. But nothing prepared me for what happened next. Uncle Jake. Penny's shrill voice cut through the festivities. She stood frozen beside the old oak, near the cemetery fence, clutching an oversized purple plastic egg. Her face had drained of color. I jogged over, camera still hanging around my neck. "What's wrong, kiddo?" "Kiddo?" Her small hands trembled as she held up the opened egg. Inside, nested in synthetic green grass, lay 3 unmistakable human teeth. Adult molars, stained brown at the roots, with bits of dried tissue still attached. My stomach lurched. "Where did you find this?" She pointed to the base of the oak. It wasn't hidden like the others. "Someone put it right here, where I'd find it." I quickly emptied the egg's contents into a clean handkerchief. The teeth made a sickening clinking sound against each other. "Don't tell the other kids," I whispered. "Let's keep having fun. I'll take care of this." Pastor Merrick materialized beside us, his tall frame casting a long shadow. "Everything all right here?" His voice was honey smooth, but his eyes were fixed on my closed handkerchief. "Just a bee sting," I lied. "Penny's fine now." Something in his gaze turned calculating. "That's a relief. Always watching over the flock, aren't we, Pastor Jake?" His hand squeezed my shoulder with unnecessary force. "By the way, Elder Committee meeting tonight. The basement. 10 p.m., the first basement meeting invitation in 3 months of employment." He turned to leave, then paused. "Found anything unusual today?" "No, sir. Just chocolate and jelly beans." His smile didn't reach his eyes. "Good. That's good." After Penny rejoined the hunt, I slipped away to examine my grisly find. The teeth appeared recently extracted. One had a silver filling. Another showed signs of recent dental work. A porcelain crown, high quality. Not trophies from some ancient burial. These belonged to someone who'd been alive recently. I photographed them with my phone, then called Detective Marcus Wright, a high school friend who joined Louisville PD, and arranged to meet him after the festivities. "Could be nothing," Marcus said later, examining the teeth in his unmarked car. "Could be something. Dental records might tell us who they belong to." "There's more," I said. "The church basement, always locked. Tonight they've invited me down there." Marcus frowned. "Don't go. Let me get a warrant first. If I don't show, they'll know something's wrong. Just, if you don't hear from me by midnight, come looking." That night, I approached the church alone. The parking lot held 5 vehicles I recognized, all belonging to Elder Committee members. The sanctuary windows stood dark against the moonlit sky, but a faint glow leaked from the basement windows, which were blacked out with paint. The basement door was unlocked for the first time since my arrival. I descended the creaking stairs, each step threatening to betray my racing heart. The sound of soft chanting grew louder. Not prayer, but something rhythmic and mechanical. "From dust we rise, from bone we build. Through pain, salvation. Through extraction, rebirth." The basement opened into a large room transformed into a macabre surgical theater. 7 elders sat in a semicircle, faces illuminated by candlelight, wearing surgical masks. Pastor Merrick stood at a podium covered in strange symbols. Ancient dental tools arranged in ritualistic patterns alongside open Bibles. At the center stood a dental chair, immaculately maintained despite its vintage appearance. Leather restraints hung open, waiting. A tray of gleaming instruments caught the candlelight. Pliers, forceps, curved extraction tools. Blood stained the concrete floor beneath in concentric circles, like growth rings on a tree. "Welcome, Pastor Jake." Merrick's smile stretched unnaturally. "We've been waiting to fully include you in our inner circle." My eyes adjusted to the dim light, revealing the room's horrors. Glass cases lined the walls, displaying hundreds of teeth arranged in patterns. Names and dates meticulously labeled beneath each display. The scripture speaks of gnashing of teeth in eternal damnation. Merrick continued, opening an ancient, leather-bound book. "Our founder discovered the truth in 1887. Each tooth carries sin. Remove the teeth, remove the sin." Elder Thompson, a retired dentist, stepped forward. "The modern church has lost the true path to salvation. In Exodus 21, tooth for tooth, we take this burden upon ourselves." He gestured reverently toward the displays. "Each extraction cleanses the soul. The pain is temporary. Salvation is eternal." "The teeth in the egg," I said, understanding flooding through me. "You've been doing this for generations?" "That wasn't us," Thompson replied, frowning. "Someone's been interfering with our sacred work." My eyes darted to a corkboard behind them. Missing persons flyers. Dozens of them, arranged chronologically. Red X's marked through most faces. Merrick's face hardened. "Tonight was to be your initiation. Your first extraction. After months of observation, we've deemed you worthy to continue our tradition." He gestured to the chair. "Will you help us save souls, Pastor Jake?" The door at the top of the stairs creaked. All heads turned. "He won't be extracting anything tonight," came Marcus's voice, gun drawn. "We're doing God's work." The raid happened in bursts of shouting and flashing lights. Officers swarmed the basement as elders were handcuffed. Merrick lunged for a hidden exit but was tackled by 2 officers. As they dragged him past me, he leaned close. "The teeth always find their way home," he whispered. "Always." Outside, forensic teams were already excavating behind the church, where ground-penetrating radar had revealed anomalies beneath the soil. "Anonymous tip," Marcus explained. "Someone emailed dental records and GPS coordinates to the station this morning. Seems your Pastor Merrick wasn't the only one with secrets." By dawn, they'd uncovered 17 bodies in a mass grave behind the oak tree. Each victim missing teeth, some just a few, others their entire set. The final body was the freshest. Male, mid-40s, wearing a groundskeeper's uniform. His name was Paul Miller, Marcus told me as we watched the recovery effort. Church janitor for 20 years. Disappeared 3 days ago. "The egg," I whispered. "He must have placed it before they caught him." Later, when they searched Miller's apartment, they found journals documenting years of suspicion, pages of evidence, photos taken through basement windows, a collection of children's Easter eggs, ready to be filled with evidence no one could ignore. "Wanting to ignore," his final journal entry. "They believe teeth hold sin. That extraction brings salvation. Their dentistry has claimed dozens. If you're reading this, I'm already in the ground. Look for my message in the purple egg. Look for my message in the purple egg." The children will find what adults refuse to see. In Merrick's home, investigators discovered generations of records dating back to the church's founding. Detailed dental histories of victims, a theological treatise arguing that the mouth is the gateway to sin, and that extracting the seeds of wickedness was divine command. Most disturbing, a family tree showing that Merrick was the great-grandson of the church's founder, who had been a dentist himself. The following Sunday, Redemption Baptist Church stood empty, its congregation scattered by revelation. Yellow police tape rippled in the spring breeze where children had once hunted for treasures. I visited the makeshift memorial that had formed by the oak tree. Among the flowers and candles sat a single purple Easter egg. Inside was a note in unfamiliar handwriting. "Some resurrections require sacrifice. But not all sacrifices bring redemption. I never learned who left it, but I check my teeth in the mirror every morning, counting them carefully, remembering how easily silent evil can hide behind smiles and scriptures. And I never eat Easter candy anymore. The first thing you notice about Trevor Mills is how perfectly he blends into any background. At 32, he's made a career out of being forgettable. A freelance event photographer who specializes in children's parties, school functions, local festivals. The kind of guy who shows up, takes pictures, and disappears before anyone really remembers his face. The Eugene Community Spring Festival was supposed to be just another job. Easter weekend, petting zoo, hundreds of kids. Standard gig. Nobody noticed when Trevor stopped taking photos. Nobody noticed when Trevor disappeared. Detective Marcus Reyes had been tracking unusual photographer disappearances for months. 3 cases, no connections, no bodies, just vanished professionals. Their cameras discovered in peculiar locations. Memory cards containing increasingly bizarre images. Today felt different. While reviewing Trevor Mills' case files, he felt something shift. A prickling sensation at the back of his neck. The kind of feeling a photographer gets when being photographed. He spun in his chair. Nothing. Just rows of cubicles and fluorescent lighting. But the sensation remained. The Eugene event unfolded like a meticulously planned performance. Families arrived early. Children clutching pastel Easter baskets. The petting zoo, a quarter-acre behind the community center, bustled with life. Baby goats, rabbits, miniature donkeys. Trevor arrived at 8:15 a.m. Gray hoodie, Nikon date 50, comfortable walking shoes. The uniform of someone who spends more time behind a lens than in conversation. Event coordinator Sarah Reynolds barely glanced up from her color-coded clipboard. Just stay out of the way of the kids. Trevor nodded, smiled his forgettable smile. Witnesses described him moving through the crowd like water, present, but leaving no trace, capturing moments. A child's laugh, a goat nuzzling an outstretched hand. The first anomaly came at 10:43 a.m. A mother complained that the photographer kept focusing on the goat pen's corner. Not the children, she told Sarah, just that corner. By 11:15 a.m., Trevor was gone. No dramatic exit, no scene, just absent. The camera, discovered 3 hours later, was buried behind the goat pen, shallow, almost deliberately positioned for discovery. Reyes studied the device in the forensic lab, mud-caked, serial number matching Trevor's professional registration. The memory card told a strange story. Standard event photos transformed into something else. Blurred images, taken from impossible angles, something metallic in backgrounds, partial faces, an eye, a cheekbone. But something else caught Reyes' attention. Embedded in the metadata, geographical coordinates, precise. He spun quickly this time. Caught a reflection in a filing cabinet's surface. Something moving, just outside the frame. A camera lens, gone in an instant. Trevor's apartment revealed nothing. Meticulously organized. No personal photos, no family history. Professional equipment, encrypted laptop. Guy was a ghost. The forensic tech said, no social media, minimal digital footprint. The background check returned minimal information. Community college in Washington. Freelance work. No criminal record. Just empty. Reyes began connecting dots others missed. The photographers weren't just disappearing, they were being selected. Each victim, mid-30s, freelance, minimal social connections, professionals who could vanish without immediate alarm. The GPS coordinates from Trevor's camera led to an abandoned agricultural research facility outside Eugene. When Reyes arrived, the complex appeared deserted, but something watched. Mounted cameras, positioned perfectly. their lenses tracking his every movement. In a concrete room, he found a wall of photographs, hundreds of images. Photographers, their faces slightly altered, eyes modified, expressions standardized. A computer terminal flickered to life. Text appeared. Subject assessment complete. Documentation protocols initiated. 3 months after Trevor's disappearance, a package arrived at the police station. No return address. Inside, Trevor's laptop. A single video file. Grainy footage. A room. Concrete walls. Surgical lighting. Photographic equipment. Cameras mounted precisely. A clinical voice. Subject 47 shows promising documentation capabilities. Facial recognition algorithms improving. The final frame. A photograph of Reyes himself. Taken moments ago. In his office. Stamped across the image in red. Subject retrieved. Processing initiated. Reyes sits in his apartment now, watching. Wait, he knows they're collecting something. Not just photographers. Something more. And he's about to find out what. The camera on his laptop blinks, always watching, always recording. The invitation arrived in our mailbox on a bright spring morning, hidden among bills and coupons. It was beautifully crafted, ivory paper, handwritten gold letters, a faint scent of lilac, and entirely unexpected. You're invited to a neighborhood Easter brunch. April 9th, 11/02/217. Meadow Lane, Asheville, NC. No need to bring anything but yourselves. My wife, Emily, held it curiously. We were new in town, moved from Boston just a month earlier, and barely knew anyone on our quiet street. Looks fancy, Emily smiled. Maybe they finally decided we belong here. I chuckled, though an uneasy feeling stirred in my gut. I couldn't recall ever noticing 217 Meadow Lane, but Emily seemed excited, and I was eager for us to fit in. Easter morning arrived, warm and bright. Emily wore her favorite spring dress, humming cheerfully as we walked the leafy street toward Meadow Lane. But when we reached the house number, the humming abruptly stopped. The house was grand, yet neglected, windows filmed over with grime, shutters hanging askew. Weeds curled defiantly through the porch steps, clawing at rotted wood. It seemed abandoned, except for the neatly arranged flower pots on the porch and a fresh wreath on the door. "Aravini, in the right place," Emily whispered, gripping my arm. "Number matches," I said uncertainly. My skin prickled. Something about the stillness unsettled me. As I knocked gently, the door swung inward, creaking loudly as if it had been waiting for our arrival. A woman appeared, early 40s, blonde hair neatly pinned, wearing an elegant pastel blue dress. She smiled warmly, but her eyes held a strange intensity. "Welcome. I'm Caroline. Come in, please," she said brightly, motioning inside. "Everyone's in the back already." We stepped inside cautiously. The house was dimly lit, smelling faintly of mildew beneath overpowering floral perfume. The decor felt oddly trapped in time. Antique clocks, Victorian furniture draped in plastic covers, faded photographs lining wallpapered walls. The silence felt heavy, oppressive. In the dining room, an elaborate table was set. Gleaming silverware, bone china, crystal glasses, yet utterly empty. "Have a seat," Caroline said, her voice sweet but firm. "I'll fetch the others." We exchanged uneasy glances but sat obediently. As Caroline disappeared deeper into the house, I heard a low sound above us. Floorboards creaking as if someone moved cautiously, pausing, then moving again. Emily looked up nervously. Minutes passed in thick silence. Caroline didn't return. My heart quickened as the creaking above grew louder, deliberate now. A door upstairs closed softly, sending chills down my spine. "I think we should leave," Emily whispered, gripping my hand tightly. Before I could respond, voices drifted down from upstairs, hushed murmurs, tense whispers too faint to decipher. Then, footsteps descended slowly, methodically. My pulse thumped in my ears as Caroline reappeared in the doorway. Behind her, a man followed, broad-shouldered, silent, his features shadowed. Neither smiled now. "We apologize for the delay," Caroline said, voice steady yet colder. "There's been a slight change of plans." "What plans?" Emily asked shakily. Caroline stepped closer. Her eyes narrowed, losing their former warmth. "Tell us, who invited you here?" I blinked, confused. "We received an invitation in our mailbox. You thought wrong," Caroline interrupted, tone sharp. "Nobody here invited you." My throat tightened. Emily shifted nervously beside me. "Look," I began slowly, rising from my chair. "Clearly there's a misunderstanding." "No misunderstanding," Caroline snapped. The man behind her moved forward, staring at us intensely, his hands clenched tightly at his sides. "No one in this neighborhood has sent invitations from this house in years." Emily's voice trembled. "I don't understand. Who lives here?" "No one," Caroline whispered, eyes flickering with barely concealed fear. "Not since the Millers vanished 6 years ago. On Easter morning. Just like today." My stomach twisted violently. I glanced down at the perfectly set table, now realizing the china bore a thin layer of dust, the silver tarnished beneath careful polish. Everything had been staged, carefully maintained yet untouched by living hands. "We've been watching this house ever since," Caroline continued quietly, glancing warily toward the staircase. "Someone lures people here each Easter, always newcomers. Each year, they vanish without a trace." "Then why are you here?" Emily demanded, voice breaking. "Just stop it," the man said grimly, finally speaking. "This year, we decided we'd catch whoever sets the trap." Suddenly, a loud, rhythmic thudding echoed upstairs. Heavy footsteps pacing deliberately. We all froze, heads turning upward in dread. "They're still here," Caroline breathed, voice trembling. "They must be." Heart hammering, I grabbed Emily's hand. "We need to get out. Now." But the front door slammed violently shut. The sound resonated through the house like a gunshot. Emily screamed. Lunging toward it, I pulled desperately at the knob. It wouldn't budge. Above us, floorboards creaked louder, moving toward the stairs. A shadow emerged slowly at the landing, a figure shrouded in darkness, face concealed behind a plain white mask, eyes dark and hollow. Caroline gasped sharply, backing away. The masked figure paused, staring silently, then slowly, deliberately raised a single finger, pointing directly at Emily and me. "No," Emily whimpered, pressing close against me. Then, chaos erupted. The masked figure descended quickly, footsteps echoing like a drumbeat of doom. Caroline's companion lunged to intercept, grappling violently as they tumbled to the floor. Caroline screamed, shattering a vase, scattering shards across the polished wood. "Go!" she shouted desperately. "Get out of here!" We sprinted frantically through dimly lit corridors, past peeling wallpaper and cracked mirrors, reflecting our terrified expressions. Behind us, a strangled cry echoed. Then silence returned. Absolute, chilling silence. Reaching a side door, I slammed my shoulder against it, splintering wood, bursting into blinding sunlight. We collapsed gasping onto the lawn, neighbors rushing over at our panicked cries. "They're killing people inside 217 Meadow Lane," I shouted frantically. "Please, help." Faces paled. Neighbors murmured uneasily. "That's impossible." An older man finally spoke, shaking his head. "That house has been abandoned since the Miller family disappeared. No one ever goes inside. No one ever goes inside." "You don't understand," Emily sobbed. "We were invited to brunch, but they..." Another neighbor stepped forward, voice gentle yet wary. "Invited by whom?" "That house is sealed," It's been boarded up for years. We turned slowly. The house behind us stood silent, windows shuttered tightly, porch sagging, utterly empty. The door hung loosely off rusted hinges, and through it, I saw only darkness. No flowers, no elegant hostess, nothing. A sheriff arrived shortly afterward, searching the house top to bottom, finding nothing but decay and emptiness. No Caroline, no masked figure, no sign anyone had been there at all. But as we walked home, trembling and shattered, Emily froze suddenly, eyes locked on our mailbox. Approaching cautiously, I opened it with shaking hands. Inside lay a single ivory envelope, gold lettering now smeared. The perfume turned rancid, and a simple message written inside. Thank you for joining us this Easter. We look forward to next year. Emily sank to her knees, sobbing, and as I stared helplessly at that taunting message, I knew with gut-wrenching certainty that we'd narrowly escaped a horrifying fate. Because the invitation hadn't been a mistake, it was a promise. Whoever had sent it would surely invite us again. The sun blazed over Tampa, Florida, a relentless spotlight on the Easter parade winding through downtown. A trumpet blared, sharp and off-key, cutting through the sticky air thick with the scent of sunscreen and melting cotton candy. Jenna adjusted the stroller, her toddler tugging at a drooping balloon string, his whines swallowed by the crowd's roar. She squinted against the glare, scanning the sea of pastel hats and bunny ears. Then she saw it. A kid in a fluffy white bunny costume, floppy ears bouncing, giggling as a man in a neon volunteer vest scooped them up and swung them toward a van. The crowd clapped, a ripple of laughter spreading. Cute skid, Jenna thought, but her stomach twisted. The van's windows were black as oil, and the man's grin stretched too tight, like a rubber band about to snap. She shook it off, wiping sweat from her brow. The parade churned on, floats creaking, a clown on stilts wobbling past, his painted smile crooked. Jenna's eyes darted back to where the van had been. Gone. Just an empty stretch of pavement, shimmering in the heat. A balloon drifted loose, bobbing too high above the chaos, and her pulse quickened. Something wasn't right. The brass band's tune warped in her ears, sour notes clashing with the shrieks of kids chasing candy. She gripped the stroller tighter, her nails digging into the foam handle. 30 seconds later, a sharp pop, a balloon bursting nearby, jolted her. Her toddler wailed, and Jenna's head snapped up. The crowd pressed in, a wall of sunburned shoulders and glitter-dusted faces, their cheers now a dull roar in her skull. She scanned for the van again, her breath shallow. Nothing. Then, slicing through the noise, a woman's voice. "Where's Tommy?" "He was just here." The words hit Jenna like a fist, her chest tightening. She knew that tone. Raw, jagged panic. She turned, spotting a woman in a yellow sundress, her hands clawing at the air as she spun in circles. Jenna's legs moved before her brain caught up, weaving the stroller through the throng. "Excuse me. Sorry," she muttered, her voice lost in the clamor. She reached a cop near a barricade, his radio crackling. "I saw a kid in a bunny costume get pulled into a van," she blurted, her words tumbling over each other. It didn't look right. The cop barely glanced up, waving a hand. "Probably part of the show, ma'am. Happens every year." His dismissal stung, but Jenna's gut screamed louder. She pivoted, eyes darting to the edges of the parade route. A flash of white caught her. A van turning onto a side street, its rear license plate dangling mismatched. Her heart slammed against her ribs as she pushed the stroller faster, dodging a spilled snow cone that bled red into the asphalt. She asked a vendor, a wiry guy with a sunburned nose, if he'd seen the van. "Yeah, some volunteer guy." He shrugged, wiping grease from his hands. "Quiet type. Kept cracking his knuckles. Drove off that way." He jerked his thumb toward the industrial sprawl beyond the festivities. Jenna's skin prickled. She pressed on. the parade's din fading into a low hum, replaced by the thud of her sneakers on pavement. Minutes bled into an hour. The sun dipped, painting the sky a bruised orange. Jenna tracked the van's path to a derelict lot on the city's edge, where rusted chain links sagged and weeds clawed through cracked concrete. The van sat there, squat and silent, its back doors ajar. Her toddler whimpered, sensing her tension, but she shushed him, creeping closer. The air tasted sour, rust and gasoline. Then she saw it. The bunny costume, crumpled in the van's shadowed belly, a dark smear streaking its white fur. Beside it, a tiny sneaker, laces undone. Jenna's breath caught, a ragged gasp. Her phone shook in her hand as she dialed 911, whispering, "I found something. Please hurry." A shadow loomed before the operator could respond. She froze. The man stepped from behind the van, his volunteer vest gone, a faded tattoo curling from his sleeve, a coiled snake, ink blurred by time. His eyes glinted, sharp and unblinking, like a predator sizing up prey. "You shouldn't be here," he rasped, his voice gravelly, laced with menace. Jenna stumbled back, clutching her phone. He lunged, his hand clamping her wrist, twisting until the phone clattered to the ground. She screamed, clawing at his arm, her nails drawing blood. He grunted, shoving her against the van's rusted side, the metal cold against her spine. Her toddler's cries pierced the air, and desperation surged through her. She drove her knee up, catching his groin. He doubled over, cursing, and she scrambled free, scooping up her phone. Sirens wailed in the distance, faint, then louder. The man's head jerked up, his face twisting. He bolted, vanishing into the lengthening shadows as red and blue lights flared across the lot. Cops swarmed, shouting, but Jenna barely heard them. She sank to her knees beside the van, staring at the bunny costume, the child's shoe. A small figure emerged from the van's depths. Tommy, trembling, alive. Relief crashed over her, but it was hollow. The horror clung like damp rot. Weeks later, Jenna sat in her dim living room, the TV flickering with a news report. Suspect apprehended in Easter parade abduction, the anchor droned. But police warn accomplices remain at large. Her toddler babbled, stacking blocks on the carpet. Jenna's eyes drifted to the window. Across the street, a van idled, different from the one in the lot, but close enough. Its tinted windows stared back, black and unyielding. She held her breath as a small, pale hand pressed against the glass. Fingers splayed, pleading. Her blood turned to ice. The van's engine growled to life, and it rolled away, swallowed by the dusk. She grabbed her phone, fingers trembling, but the street was empty now. Just the echo of that hand burned into her mind. The nightmare wasn't over. It was waiting. Maplewood Elementary's annual Easter egg hunt began with pastel chaos. Children spilled across the playground, baskets swinging, laughter bouncing off the rusting monkey bars. Miss Emily Hart, 34, blew her silver whistle. 2 short bursts, 1 long. Her signature called to rotate stations. The sun glinted off the engraved E on the whistle side. A gift from her first class at 10:17. Third grader Liam Cooper paused mid-dash. A familiar trill echoed from the woods bordering the schoolyard. 2 short, 1 long. But Miss Hart stood right beside the slide, her whistle silent against her chest. "Miss Hart," Liam tugged her sleeve. "Someone's copying you." By recess, Emily Hart lay behind the storage shed. Her throat slit in a cruel smile. The whistle was gone. Detective Mara Voss arrived to a nightmare frozen in pastels. Tiny footprints circled the crime scene. A single bloody boot print, size 11 men's, led into the woods. The killer took her whistle. Principal Yates stammered, but why? Mara studied the staff roster. Yannitor Riggs, 58, size 11 boots, dismissed last month for aggressive behavior. Too obvious. Music teacher Daniel Choi, 42, whistle collector. Possible, but alibied. At dusk, Mara replayed the playground security footage. Emily Hart alive at 10:15 a.m. Then a glitch. Static. When the image cleared, Emily was gone. But in the static's heartbeat, a shadow by the woods. Tall. Hooded. Head cocked as if listening. 3 days later, second grader Sofia Martinez reported a man whistling too short, one long near her bus stop. He had Miss Hart's smile, she whispered. Mara's blood-iced. Emily Hart's autopsy photos flashed in her mind. Lips carved upward post-mortem. That night, Mara found Carl Rick's trailer empty, except for a shrine, newspaper clippings of Emily, dried daisies her favorite, and a VHS labeled Ellie's Last Recital. The tape showed a 1998 school play, young Carl in the background, staring at a laughing girl. Emily's sister, Ellie Hart, who'd vanished that summer. Mara tracked Daniel Choi to the music room. His whistle collection gleamed behind glass, except one empty hook labeled Silver Echo, 2022. You reported yours stolen last year, Mara pressed. Daniel's hands trembled. I thought it was kids, until I saw him conducting the air during lunch, like he was practicing. Rain battered the windows. Mara's radio crackled. All units, child missing near Maplewood. Mara found Liam Cooper's backpack by the woods, a trail of candy eggs leading into the pines. The whistle's trill pierced the downpour. Two short, one long. Carl Riggs stood in a clearing, Emily's whistle glowing in his fist. Liam lay bound at his feet, duct tape smothering his screams. Ellie loved Easter too, Carl smiled, knife glinting. She didn't laugh right. Had to fix her smile. Mara lunged as Carl blew the whistle. The sound bounced off trees, morphing into a chorus. Dozens of whistles answered from the dark. Hidden in branches, buried in dirt. Each stolen, each tuned to two short, one long. Carl's last words as cuffs clicked. You can't silence them all. They recovered 34 whistles from the woods, non-traceable. Liam survived. Sofia Martinez transferred schools. Mara wakes nightly to phantom trills outside her window. The chief says it's trauma, but this morning, a package arrived. No postage. Inside, a silver whistle, engraved in V. When she blows it, the neighborhood dogs howl. And somewhere, a child's laughter answers. Right. Let's talk about how quickly innocence curdles online. You see these challenges, these trends, mostly dumb, sometimes dangerous, but usually just fleeting noise. This one, though. This one crawled out of that digital swamp and left a mark, the kind that doesn't wash off. It happened in Seattle, right before Easter, when the city was already buzzing with that pre-holiday energy. This isn't about ghosts. It's about the monster next door, finding a brand new way to deliver nightmares, wrapped in pastel plastic. The TikTok feed was an endless scroll of idiocy branded #shock challenge, teens giggling inanely, filming themselves hiding brightly colored plastic Easter eggs in public places. The shock was supposed to be what was inside. Gummy worms arranged like guts, plastic spiders, maybe a note saying boo. Harmless, mostly. Annoying, definitely. Maya, scrolling through during lunch break at Roosevelt High, just rolled her eyes. It's so lame, she muttered to her friend Chloe. People are idiots. Chloe shrugged, already angling her phone for a selfie. Lighten up, May. It's just dumb fun. Dismissal bell screamed, walking home under a typical Seattle sky, that soft gray threatening drizzle. They saw them. Dozens of plastic eggs scattered haphazardly near the school's front lawn, tucked into bushes, nestled at the base of trees. Leftovers from the hash Shocker Challenge warriors. Gross, Maya said, steering clear. But Chloe, ever impulsive, darted towards a vibrant purple egg half hidden in the roots of a gnarled old maple. Come on, open one. Bet it's just fake eyeballs. She already had her phone out recording. No way, Chloe. Chloe? Probably full of slime or something. But Chloe persisted, dangling the purple egg temptingly. Dare ya? Maya sighed. Fine. She took the egg. It felt oddly heavy, solid, not like a hollow plastic shell. The two halves were jammed tight. She struggled, her fingernails scraping against the cheap plastic seam. Chloe zoomed in with her phone, providing mock serious commentary. Here we witness the brave Maya confronting the dreaded shock egg. Pop. The egg split open in her hands. Inside, nestled on a bed of faded, crinkly green plastic grass, wasn't a plastic spider or a squirt of ketchup. It was a thumb, severed cleanly at the knuckle, pile of waxy skin, a neatly trimmed nail with a faint bluish tint beneath it, the cross-section at the base raw, ragged, undeniably real. Time stopped. The sounds of traffic, distant laughter, Chloe's voice, all faded into a roaring silence in Maya's ears. Then, a choked, high-pitched scream tore from her throat. She flung the egg away as if it burned. It landed silently on the grass, the thumb still nestled inside. Chloe's phone hit the sidewalk with a clatter, her face bleached white, eyes fixed on the grotesque little object. Nausea clawed its way up Maya's throat. Siren sliced the afternoon quiet minutes later. Uniformed officers, then detectives. Yellow tape unspooled, creating a perimeter around the maple tree. Detective Harding arrived, his face grim, etched with the weary cynicism of too many bad calls. He knelt, observing as a forensic tech carefully bagged the purple egg and its obscene contents. Kids finding things was common. Finding this, deliberately placed inside a toy, tied to some idiotic internet dare. That was different. Calculated. Cold. Harding interviewed Maya and Chloe, their voices trembling. He listened patiently about the Hash-Shocked challenge, scrolling grimly through examples on Chloe's phone, after she retrieved it with shaking hands. This wasn't a prank gone horrifically wrong. This was evidence of assault, mutilation, maybe worse. Who was missing a thumb in Seattle? News exploded. Online first, then local stations. Panic coiled around the city. Parents forbade kids from participating in any Easter egg hunts. Other shock eggs turned up, filled with stink bombs, dog feces, creepy dolls. They were disgusting, upsetting. But they weren't this. It felt like someone had seen the childish challenge and twisted it into something monstrous, using the noise of teenage pranks as cover. Harding and his team worked the grim puzzle. Missing persons reports yielded nothing recent involving severed digits. Hospitals had no unidentified patients matching the profile. He assigned uniforms to monitor the challenge hashtags, drowning in hours of obnoxious videos, jump scares, fake blood, stupid dares, searching for any anomaly, any clue masked as a joke. It felt like searching for a specific needle in a global haystack of stupidity. Then a second egg surfaced, found by a janitor near the entrance of Nathan Hale High, across town. A small, bright yellow egg. Inside, cushioned on the same cheap plastic grass, lay a single human molar. Extracted, not just fallen out. A tiny smear of blood darkened the root. Same chilling signature. Harding felt a cold knot tighten in his gut. This was a message. A trophy delivery system. He pushed his team harder on the digital angle. They flagged a low-follower TikTok account. Its first video, posted days before Maya's discovery, showed hands preparing several plastic eggs. The contents were meticulously blurred. The audio generic upbeat music. But the hands, they wore distinctive black tactical gloves, the kind with reinforced knuckles. Harding felt a jolt of recognition. He pulled up the cold case file from an unsolved aggravated assault 6 months prior. The victim had described their attacker wearing identical gloves. The video was tagged vaguely near Roosevelt High. This was it. The connection. An emergency warrant provided the IP address. A small, unassuming house in a quiet residential neighborhood in Ballard. No longer just a hunch. Harding felt the cold certainty settle in his bones. SWAT geared up silently, darkness blanketing the street as they approached. Harding watched from the command vehicle, screens showing the helmet cam feed from the entry team leader. Tension crackled. Execute, the voice came over the radio. The door breached. The team moved in, fast, methodical. Downstairs clear, eerily tidy. Moving to basement, heavy footsteps on the stairs. The camera panned across a closed basement door. The team leader signaled, then pushed it open. Musty dampness hit the lens, mingling with the sharp, sterile scent of strong chemical cleaners. The camera swept the room. Not a normal basement, more like a makeshift lab or a grotesque morgue prep room. Stainless steel tables, gleaming tools laid out neatly, jars of chemicals. On one wall, a large whiteboard covered in cramped handwriting, anatomical diagrams, and news clippings. Articles about the hash socket challenge, about the discoveries of the body parts. And in the corner, under the cold fluorescent light, a man in a white lab coat sat with his back to the door, hunched over a table. He was carefully placing something small into a pastel pink plastic egg. Beside him, a small dorm-style refrigerator hummed. Police, hands where I can see them. The man startled, slowly turning. A blank face, empty eyes behind thick glasses, regarded the SWAT team. He offered no resistance as cuffs snapped onto his wrists. The team leader opened the small fridge. Inside, colored plastic eggs were arranged neatly. Beside them, several Ziploc bags containing other small human tissue samples, meticulously labeled with dates and cryptic location codes. Only their creator would understand. The man was identified. A former medical lab technician, fired for misconduct, with a documented history of violent outbursts. As Harding later reviewed the evidence photos, staring at the notes on the whiteboard, the contemptuous scrawls about idiot kids, and a hollow society obsessed with meaningless trends, the motive clarified into hideous focus. He wasn't just collecting morbid trophies from his victims. He despised the world he felt had discarded him. The vapid hash socket challenge embodied the shallow culture he loathed. By inserting pieces of stark, horrific reality into their cheap plastic toys, he was mocking them. He was twisting their childish game into a delivery system for his malice, forcing indifferent strangers to confront brutal truth. Each discovered egg was a ripple of shock sent through the community. A wave of fear he controlled remotely, giving him the perverse sense of power and attention he craved from the shadows of his initial anonymity. He was challenging society back, in the most twisted, deadly way possible. The source of the horror was contained, but the psychological damage radiated outwards. The hash socket challenge vanished overnight, choked by revulsion. Easter felt tainted that year, the bright colors and cheerful bunnies suddenly sinister. Maya started therapy, haunted by the image of the thumb on the plastic grass, the weight of the egg in her hand. Detective Harding closed the case, but the calculated violation lingered. The ease with which depravity had hijacked childish fun, weaponizing a viral trend to distribute pieces of human beings like grotesque party favors. Months later, Maya found herself in a drugstore. A seasonal aisle overflowed with Easter candy, stuffed bunnies, and bags of brightly colored plastic eggs. She recoiled, a physical flinch, turning sharply and walking away, her heart pounding. Some things once seen can never be unseen. Some horrors don't need ghosts to haunt you forever. Detective Sarah Linden's camera flash illuminated the gruesome tableau, casting harsh white light across Virginia Lake Park's usually peaceful playground. The morning dew glistened on the metal slide, reflecting the growing number of police cars at the perimeter. "Happy Easter to us," her partner muttered, crouching beside the victim. The dead man lay face up on wood chips, one arm extended toward the playground as if reaching for something. Mid-40s, well-dressed in what was once an expensive suit, now stained dark with blood from the precise knife wound below his sternum. That wasn't the disturbing part. Beside him, a bunny costume. Not a cheap Halloween store version, but a professional-grade Easter bunny suit. White fur now rust-colored with dried blood, the head placed carefully to stare at the victim's face. Pink, glass eyes reflecting nothing. Tucked halfway into the costume's pocket, a folded paper. Sarah extracted it with gloved hands. A list of names, handwritten in meticulous penmanship. 12 children's names, Agus noted in parentheses. Each name except the last had been crossed out with a single red line. "Found ID?" Sarah asked, trying to ignore how the bunny's head seemed to track her movements. "David Winters, 47, local photographer, specialized in children's portraits." Sarah finished, recognizing the name. Her daughter had posed for him last year, all big smiles and Easter dresses against pastel backdrops. He'd been charming, professional, forgettable. Something cold settled in her stomach. The investigation moved with bureaucratic slowness. Each crossed-out name led to a child who'd been photographed by Winters in the past 5 years. All alive, all unharmed. Al remembered him as the nice cameraman who gave them candy after their Easter portraits. So he wasn't hurting them, her partner concluded. Sarah wasn't convinced. Then why keep their names? Why cross them out? The last name on the list, the only one not crossed out, belonged to 8-year-old Lily Chen, who had an appointment scheduled for that very Easter Sunday afternoon. Sarah studied the bunny costume in the evidence locker. The mannequin they'd placed it on stood motionless, yet something about its posture suggested potential energy, like it might move if you looked away. The lab report noted something odd. The blood on the costume didn't match Winters. It wasn't human blood at all. Something synthetic. Theatrical blood. Inside the head, she found something the techs had missed. A small camera, expertly hidden behind the left eye. When they accessed the footage, Sarah's world tilted sideways. David Winters hadn't been the photographer. He'd been the subject. The video showed a different perspective, looking through the bunny's eyes at Winters, who knelt trembling before it. "Please," his voice cracked on the recording. I stopped. I haven't taken any special portraits in months. A gloved hand entered the frame, holding a phone displaying images that made Sarah's stomach lurch. Children. Posed in ways children should never be posed. "You don't understand," Winters sobbed. "They wanted the pictures. Parents paid extra for the private sessions. The bunny cam never captured its wearer's face, but a whispered voice came through with chilling clarity. You chose the wrong subjects. You chose my subjects. I didn't know they were special to anyone. Just jobs. Just..." The gloved hand extended, offering a knife handle first to Winters. "Honor or horror," the whisper said. "Your choice." Winters took the knife with shaking hands. The footage ended. Zara connected the pieces with growing dread. Each crossed-out name. Each child who'd sat for Winters' special portraits. Each innocent face paid for by parents who never questioned why certain photos weren't included in the package they received. "We need to find the costume owner," she told her captain. "Someone's been watching these children, tracking them. Someone who knew what Winters was doing and decided to stop him, but not by going to the police. A vigilante? A collector," Sarah corrected. "Someone who considers these children theirs." The captain's phone rang. His expression darkened as he listened. "There's been another one," he said, hanging up. "Press school photographer, found dead in his studio in Carson City. Easter bunny costume beside him. List of names in his pocket. The last name on our list, Lily Chen, first name on the new list." A chill ran through the room. That night, Sarah sat in her daughter's room, watching her sleep, thinking about how easily predators hide behind professional veneers. How parents hand their children to strangers with cameras without a second thought. Her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. They're safe now. All of them. Collected and protected. Attached. A photo of the bloody bunny costume, now clean, sitting on what looked like a child's bed. A second message followed. Your Emma had a portrait session last spring. Check the photos he didn't give you. Then check her closet. Sarah froze. She'd never mentioned Emma's name in the investigation. With trembling hands, she accessed the cloud folder Winters had sent after Emma's session. The password hint, your daughter's favorite hiding place. The closet. Inside Emma's closet, behind the hanging clothes, Sarah found a small pink backpack she'd never seen before. Inside, a phone with a single contact labeled Easter friend and dozens of messages. I'll be at your school tomorrow. Look for the bunny. Emma stirred in her bed. Mommy, is it time for the egg hunt? The Easter bunny said he'd bring me a special basket this year. Sarah looked back at her phone. A final message appeared. Some collect eggs. Some collect portraits. I collect the collectors. Don't worry. Emma is still on my list. See you next Easter. Outside, something thumped softly on the front porch. When Sarah checked through the peephole, she saw nothing but a wicker basket. Inside it, a chocolate bunny with a tiny camera for an eye, and a handwritten note with a single name at the top. Detective Sarah Linden, 42. The name remained uncrossed. For now.